What is going on, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals? Welcome to another exciting week of your favorite podcast, Nerd Explosion. I am your lovely host, as always, Kate, and join me is the lovely assistant.
God damn it! I was gonna have that opening, that crisp Mountain Dew opening as my intro, but then it sprayed all over me.
I know, it also sprayed sideways and got all over my pumpkin gnome here.
Oh, boo-hoo. I'm the one that's covered in Mountain Dew here.
So anyway, welcome back to Nerd Explosion, weekly podcast. This podcast episodes drop weekly on Sundays. Follow us on all the stuff on all the things. Saturdays, you know what to do. Anyway,
you've been with the podcast for a year now. You should know this.
Literally like 6 months. I started in February.
Yeah, but still.
Anyway, welcome to Nerd Explosion, and it is a big, bright, beautiful world.
Is it a bright, beautiful world?
Somebody is crabby today, and
I would beg to disagree.
Would like to talk about Shrek the Musical.
Ah, yes. Shrek the Musical. A fine musical, may I say.
It is, and honestly, it's becoming one of my favorites the more that we watch it, because you found it on YouTube, right? Because it's not on Netflix anymore?
It was on Netflix first, and then I found it on YouTube when we watched it recently.
The actress that plays adult Fiona is phenomenal. She's so funny. Her facial expressions make me laugh every time. The way she delivers her lines, the comedic timing in everything that she does is just so perfect.
But with that, let's talk about Shrek the Musical. Alright, so what is Shrek the Musical? And right off the bat, sorry for any chewing noises. We are snacking because both of us are hungry, and I need some snacky snacks from my raccoon hands. So, Shrek the Musical, this is drawn off of Wikipedia. Shrek the Musical is a musical, yeah, no shit, with music by Janine Tesori and book and lyrics by David Lindsay Abaire. It is based on the 2001 DreamWorks animation film Shrek, along with elements of its sequels Shrek 2 and Shrek Forever After, and William Steiger's 1990 book Shrek. Now, I did not know that Shrek itself was originally a book.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
And I also didn't know that this musical, well, I guess I kind of knew, but you know, now that I read it in the Wikipedia, it's kind of obvious that it did take elements from Shrek 2 and Shrek Forever After. Adding in story elements and stuff.
Oh.
Let's see. After a trial run in Seattle, the original Broadway production opened in December 2008 and closed after a run of over 12 months in January of 2010. It was followed by a tour of the United States, which opened in 2010, and a revamped West End production from June 2011 to February 2013. So, let's see. It ran during 2008 in Seattle, and then on Broadway, also in 2008. 2010, it had a U.S. tour. 2011, it had a West End tour. 2014, it had a UK tour, and it also had another UK tour in 2023.
Okay.
So literally just last year. A high-definition filming of the Broadway production, shot by Radical Media, was released on DVD, Blu-ray, and digital download on October 15th, 2013 in North America and December 2nd, 2013 in the UK. The digital version of the film was made available on Netflix beginning in December 2013. So yeah, in December 2013 is when they put it on Netflix, and I think that's when no, because I didn't see it until way later. I think it was like 2015 when I had first seen it.
I was gonna say, I think we first saw it like in 2015 or 2016.
2015 or 2016.
It must have been on Netflix for a minute.
Because in 2015 is when we also watched Hamilton for the first time.
Yeah.
Or was it? No, it wasn't 2015 when we saw Hamilton. Just kidding. It was 2020 because we had nothing better to do during the pandemic.
Yeah, we got like really into musicals there for a while.
Yeah, it was Hamilton, and then I discovered, Shrek the Musical, SpongeBob the Musical, and then, fast forward few years later when I get obsessed with StarTube musicals.
Yeah.
Going through the cast. Now I'm just going to go over, just to make things simple, I'm going over the cast for like the one you can watch, like the actual production.
Yeah.
Like the Netflix one. Shrek, played by Brian Darcy James. Princess Fiona, played by Sutton Foster.
I love Sutton Foster. I'm obsessed with her.
Donkey, played by Daniel Brecker.
He's amazing too.
Lord Farquaad, played by Christopher Sieber. Pinocchio, played by John Tartaglia. Dragon, played by actually 3 different people. In the original Seattle production, it was one person. But in the Broadway one, they had like 3 different women kind of be one voice for the dragon. Mm-hmm. And that was Haven Burton, Amy Garcia, and Rachel Stern, which I gotta say, this is a weird way to spell Amy. Aymee. It's interesting. And then Gingy.
Well, Taylor Swift spells it Aimee.
Aimee.
And thank you, Amy.
Huh. Anyway. And then we have Gingy, played also by Haven Burton. So Haven Burton does one of the voices for Dryden and Gingy. And it doesn't list off all the other people, but there are
She's
plenty.
She's one of the fairies too, isn't she?
Yeah, I think she's one of the fairies, and then she also she comes in at the end, and she has Gingy as the puppet and kind of does the voice while she's standing right there. And they don't mention anybody else, but a lot of I guess right off the bat, as long as we're talking about cast, anybody that's not listed, do you like? Like, who sticks out to you besides like the main cast of characters? Like, not talking like Shrek, Fiona, them, like any of the like side characters, any of the other fairytale creatures in the swamp. Who really stands out to you?
I don't know if this counts, but I'm in love with the wolf.
Oh, yeah, the big bad wolf.
Yeah. I also really like when they first
stand the trans wolf.
Yeah. I also like when they first get to Duloc and they run into that guy with the big Farquaad head.
Oh yeah,
love him. Love him.
I loved him in the movie, and I loved him in the musical.
He was on stage for like a total of probably 3 minutes.
Because he comes on and he's like, "Welcome to the whatever festival," and then he sees Shrek. He's like, "Oh God, no!" Ah! And then he just runs off and collapses off.
And then he fucking face plants because this head that he's wearing,
like a smack from the side of the stage, and then he comes back, falls over, and he's like, "Oh God, why?"
It's so funny.
One of my other favorite characters is, I don't know who she is, but it's like this bigger woman that plays a lot of like background characters. I call her Screaming Woman because that's a lot of her roles. Like in the opening number, she's the woman that walks up to Shrek, sees him, and just screams and runs off. But I think she later comes back as one of the puppets or whatever for Farquaad. You know, when they're all sitting listening to him, and then Shrek comes in and they all start freaking out, and it's the woman, and then she's just like, no.
Yeah.
And they're all just like staring at her. Oh my God. But John Tartaglia, who plays Pinocchio, also is the
phenomenal.
Is the mirror. Also is the magic mirror, which is very interesting.
This episode is going to be featuring Dorian,
because he's a fucking menace. Going over the songs. Let's talk about the songs. So first we got the overture, which is, you know, just the intro music. And then we have, now I like in this, it doesn't list like who, like the person that sings it. It lists the characters that sing it. So starting off with this list, we have Big Bright Beautiful World, sung by Mama Ogre, Papa Ogre, and Shrek. Now this song is basically, it's Shrek's childhood and showing that at a very young age, Shrek's parents were just like, "Hey, you're 7 years old now. Get the fuck out."
Time to be on your own. Bye.
And then the song ends, like, if fast forward to Shrek does some narration. If fast forward to when Shrek is, grown up, living on the swamp by himself, and he's just like, you know what? Fuck everyone else. I have my own patch of land here. Like, it's a big, the big, bright, beautiful world is the one that's immediately around me,
Yeah, he's like, I don't need your big, bright, beautiful world. I have my swamp.
And then we move on to Story of My Life, sung by
Pinocchio, Elf, Peter Pan, Ugly Duckling, Fairy Godmother, Sugar Plum Fairy, Three Pigs, Wicked Witch, Mama Bear, Mad Hatter, Big Bad Wolf, Humpty Dumpty, White Rabbit, Three Bears, and Fairy Tale Creatures.
I like how it lists all the other creatures, but then at some point just like, yeah, and the rest of them.
And the rest of you guys, I guess.
But Story of My Life, and just a reminder, this musical is basically follows the plot of the first Shrek movie. Mm-hmm. But Story of My Life is sung by the Fairy Tale Creatures because after Shrek takes off to do some errands or whatever, all these fairy tale creatures are led to his swamp by one of Farquaad's guards and is basically told to like stay there or whatever, like, you're banished from the kingdom, this is where you sit. And they do the song Story of My Life that basically expresses like how mistreated they are and how unfair they have it because they're different,
Because they're fairy tale creatures.
And then following that up, in here it says Story of My Life tag, done by Elf, Fairy Godmother, Pinocchio, Big Bad Wolf, Fairy Tale Creatures. And this is basically, I would say a reprise of Story of My Life, but it's like it has all different lyrics and wording and stuff. And this is after Shrek comes back and is like, what the hell are all you doing in my swamp?
Yeah.
That has the same energy as, why weren't you in elf practice? But Story of My Life tag is basically them being like, hey, we don't want to be here. You don't want us here. What the hell was that? Our light just flickered. We got ghosts. But the fairy tale creatures are like, hey, we don't want to be here. You don't want us here. But we can't stand up to Farquaad. You're big and scary and green. You can stand up to him. But, then basically they convince Shrek to be like, okay, I'll go talk to Farquaad if it'll get you guys off of my property. And they end that whole segment. They're like, time to say goodbye. Da, 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 da. And then Shrek is just all like, fucking. Da. And then at one point they throw out his bag, and then the elf is just like, don't die.
Don't die.
Oh, yeah, that's
Shoemaker's elf.
Oh, yeah, that's the goodbye song. They actually put it in here. There was because they sing something that kind of sounds like Story of My Life, and then they sing one that's the goodbye song, where they basically say like, hey, go talk to the Farquaad, don't die. So then immediately after that, Shrek is just like, god damn it, like, now I got all this shit to do. And he gets to the point in the swamp where it says like do not cross beyond this point. And he takes
ogre.
Yeah, he takes one step out, and all of a sudden he hears a bunch of screaming, and it's Donkey being chased by Farquaad's people. And so basically they Shrek kind of unintentionally saves Donkey from them by just basically being not because he wants to save Donkey, but because he's a prick to these guards.
That's not very nice. He's only a donkey.
It was just funny, and I forget what was one of the guards. What one of the guards says, but then Shrek responds by roaring, and they're all freaking out. And there's the one guy that's like, "I want to go home right now."
He's like, "No, I want to go home. I want to go home right now."
And then they're all just sitting there scared, and Shrek is just like, "This is the part where you run away." And then so. After that, we have the meeting between Shrek and Donkey. And Donkey is... If you've seen the movie, Donkey is doing what he can to try to convince Shrek to be like, hey, I want to tag along. I want to go with you because I can't survive on my own. And they do that by Donkey singing a song called Don't Let Me Go, which is honestly one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a really good performance, too.
And then... so we have this song called... Regiment, which I believe it must be the song that the guards sing when introducing Farquaad. Mm-hmm. They're like, Farquaad's on his here he is, right now. So that point, I love how it's supposed to be like an ominous, menacing opening, like the door just, and then you just see his shadow, and you just hear the like stomping of the feet, and then by the time he just stops and poses, and you just hear the bzzz of the spotlight. It's just Lord Farquaad in this, like I was already kind of a fan of him in the movie, but my God, do they know how to do him right? Because they know he's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
They know a lot of people liked him. Then we got, so to kind of transition to the next song, there comes the part where the magic mirror is just like, hey, you're not a teen yet, but you can become one if you marry a princess. So he provides them with the options and, like a game show type thing between, what was it, Cinderella, Snow White, and Fiona, which, backing up, he does like a whole game show thing. And he's like, oh, she could, she cleans, but she's not easy. Please welcome Cinderella. And he's like, oh, I like the broom. And then he introduces Snow White.
His fucking commentary is so funny.
He introduces Snow White, and it's Snow White in a silhouette in the thing, like the glass box that she's in. Yeah, Farquaad's like, oh, she's a Tupperware. And then obviously option 3 is Fiona, which he picks. So he decides, he puts a plan together to try to, send somebody to get Fiona for him.
But
because
before that, he
asked
the guards. He's like, "Oh, I don't know, boys. Who should I pick?" And then
everybody's shouting out like different numbers,
and then all of a sudden,
Felonious does 4, and he's like, "There's no 4."
And then Farquaad's like, "There is no number 4."
There's no 4.
So funny.
But yeah, he picks Fiona and fails to listen to the magic mirror. Be like, "Hey, there's something else I should tell you." He's like, "No, I don't."
Yeah, because like to be fair, the magic mirror did try to warn him that like, oh, by the way, at night she turns into an ogre. Spoiler alert.
And then the magic mirror kind of breaks the fourth wall by talking to the audience, and he's like, "Hey, I've got extras. You want backstory on Fiona? You're just click on the mirror, and you'll get to see Fiona's backstory." Which then gives us the song "I Know It's Today," which
I know it's today.
Yes, that's very much what the song is. But
it's one of my favorite songs in the whole
It's
musical.
basically showing Fiona's, Fiona growing up and how long she was stuck in the tower. Like, it starts off with her as a kid, and then the second part of it is her as a teenager, and then the final part is obviously her as an adult, just kind of crazy, unhinged, and just like, I've been locked in this tower way too damn long. Somebody please help me.
Unhinged.
This is not very really demure, good. Very cutesy, very mindful.
Very demure.
So, and then this, honestly, like, this song kind of makes me emotional a little bit because when all three of them start singing it, like, they harmonize so well.
The three actors, the young Fiona, teenage Fiona, and adult Fiona, just
like, it definitely, like, the thing I love, and I thought of this too when we were watching it, young Fiona, like, that actor expresses it so well because she's just like, oh, I've been stuck here in a little while, but I'm still hopeful, and the future is bright and everything's fine. And then teenage one is just like, obviously a little less hopeful, but still has that like teenage angst, like, oh, I still want my prince out there, and I'm slightly horny, well, as all teenagers are.
And you can kind of see like the progression of like you said, the kind of unhinged, because
especially with the line, God, what is the lyric? It's like, his armor will be blinding, as shining as his perfect teeth and manly hose. He'll propose on one knee, and our prenup will be binding.
Yes.
I think that's a part, because how the actress in it is like, and our prenup will be binding. Like, you can see the slight unhinged, and then adult Fiona is just completely unhinged. Like, you can see, like, why me? And she starts, like, tearing books apart because she's just, like, she's done insane from waiting.
With them harmonizing, when we transition from teenage Fiona to adult Fiona, they both end up singing the same line. And if you listen really, really closely, you can hear when one actress stops and the other one starts. But it's so seamless. I missed it the first 3 times we were watching.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably on their sound design too, like their sound guy, because in order to like how I would do it, and I'm guessing this is how they did it. The microphone that Teenage Fiona's actor had.
Yeah.
You fade that one out at the same time you're fading in adult Fiona. But I think that's how they did it, and my God, does it work.
Yeah, it's just, and even at the end when all three of them are like, I know it's today, and then they go through, she's like, day 72, day 893.
Yeah, Kid Fiona is day 23.
Yeah, day 23.
And then Teenage Fiona is 958. And then Adult Fiona is 8,423.
Yeah.
Which I love. I missed that the first time I saw it, like how she says it with 23. I'm like, oh, so this is the day she gets rescued is like her birthday. Almost, essentially. Or like the first day, the anniversary of the day she got there in the first place.
That's 23 years.
So she's literally 23 when she gets rescued.
Well, no, because she wasn't put in the castle when she was a baby.
Oh, yeah, no. What am I saying?
So she was 7 when she was put in the castle.
Yeah, I was saying, let's assume she was 7 years old.
So she'd
be like 29 or 30.
Yeah, she'd be 30.
She'd be 30 years old.
Which works out with the storyline, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's really just on. Duh, we went on for a while about that song.
It's a good song.
Moving on with the track list. What's Up, Duloc? Now, this is obviously fast forwarding to when Shrek and Donkey...
Shine your shoes, wipe your face.
Ass.
Okay.
But this is when Shrek and Donkey arrive in... or they come across Duloc in their travels. And a bunch of Farquaad puppets sing the song from Shrek, the...
Welcome to Duloc, such a perfect town. Here we have some rules, let us lay them down. Don't make way, stay in line, and we'll get all our fun. Duloc is a perfect place. Please keep off of the grass, shine your shoes, wipe your face. Duloc is a perfect place.
But then they expand on that by introducing Farquaad, and Farquaad sings it's called What's Up, Duloc, but the line they keep repeating in the chorus is things are looking up here in Duloc.
Things are looking up here in Duloc.
And it's basically Farquaad bragging about how perfect Duloc is and how there's no imperfections.
And then what does he say? Something about...
Once upon a time.
Something is... I want to always say something is enormous. Or
the upshot is enormous.
The upshot is enormous when you shout conform us.
I want to look up the lyrics. What is it?
Anyway, it's very mindful, very, very thoughtful, very cutesy, very demure.
Very demure. The one thing I love is when Lord Farquaad pops up, he immediately he breaks to the fourth wall a lot. Like he acknowledges the audience a lot.
That's one of my favorite things about his character.
But when he pops up, he looks at the audience. He's like, "Oh, it's you! What a terrific surprise!" And then I love the line delivery or the delivery of the lyric in the first one, where he's like, "Once upon a time, this place was infested, freaks on every corner. I had them all arrested."
He's so funny. I love Farquaad.
And then throwing in the hey nanny 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 no.
I had them all arrested. Because he's also like, you can tell that takes himself way too seriously, but at the same time, he's still like a little kid. Because,
I mean, it's obvious from the movie that, because of his height and everything, he makes up for it by being just an absolute prick.
And he has like this
he's like, fuck you, I have power.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, I'm the king of Duloc.
Who do you think you are, Peter Dinklage in Game of Thrones?
Right. And then this is totally like an offshoot, but there is a part in that song, What's Up, Duloc, that
are you thinking of the dance break?
Yeah, where like the actors like lift up
Farquaad, he does, and
you just see the actor's actual feet come out, and they're kind of like it's just like running across stage. So
yeah,
funny.
because we didn't even mention that the actor for Farquaad is like a normal height guy. But what they have him do, and this is why I think he's probably the best character in the whole musical, he's on his knees pretty much the whole musical. Except for the part we were talking about, where he does a thing where Farquaad is just like, hey, these dancers lift me up, and you just see the little tiny black legs just.
So I think, and I don't know for sure, I have nothing to back this up, but I paused the show one day just perfectly, and I kind of saw how they did it. So he's got knee pads and the way he moves, like he moves across stage on his knees like he's genuinely running.
Yeah, like Farquaad's legs is like down his thigh, and like the feet are at like his knees.
So he's like on his knees, but he's got these little pads.
He's got knee pads on his knees
that
he has to walk around the whole play.
And then how they did it, it looked like is they just attached the back of his cape to the back of his actual real human feet, so that the cape is always kind of back far enough that he doesn't trip over it, but that you still can't see the actor's legs.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because proportionately he looks ridiculous because
he's like a normal 6 foot tall person.
He's like up top, his torso and his arms are proportionate, and then he's got these little dinky sausage legs. It's so funny and it's so disarming.
Mm-hmm. But following that is when Shrek and Donkey enter, and Farquaad is just like, he sees Shrek and he's like, hey, how about
so wonderfully
you're
expendable.
big and mean and wonderfully expendable.
Yeah.
He sends Shrek to obviously do idea Fiona, and then we did What's Up Duloc reprise, where it's just a short little thing where he's like your queen is on her way, and then they repeat some things from What's Up Duloc. And the thing I love is how they end the song, where Farquaad is like, and nothing's gonna bring me down. And then he does a little reference to Wicked, where he does I think it's the last note in Defying Gravity, which I don't know if I want to repeat without blowing out the mic. But it's just like something like that. Which I was just like, it took me a while to be like, hey, I understood that reference. It's supposed to be a little jab at Wicked.
I understood that reference.
So then after that, we get Travel Song, which is really sung by Donkey, Donkey and Shrek. But it's Donkey being all excited that they're on an adventure, and then Shrek is just like, God, why the fuck am I with this guy? Like, what did I do to deserve this?
Literally, what did I do to deserve this?
Following that, we did a scene, Donkey, and I'm sorry I'm not going into detail with a lot of what happens, but it's like, if you've seen the movie
Shrek, you know what the musical's about.
Then we did the part where, they arrive at the castle, and Shrek is like, I'll go this way towards the princess, you do whatever. And Donkey's left there alone and runs into the dragon. But with that, we did the song Donkey Pot Pie, which part of it is the dragon singing about how she wants to eat Donkey, how she's going to prepare him. And then there's a middle part where Donkey is just like complimenting this dragon because, he doesn't want to die. And then the last part of the song is the dragon being so flattered that Donkey would say something like that, and flatter her, that the dragon is just like, hey, I'm not going to eat you now. I want to be with you.
I hate Donkey Pot Pie.
You don't like the song?
No, it's uncomfy, and I don't know what about it is uncomfy. It just makes me uncomfy.
Is it the fact that this big-ass dragon is getting horny for a little tiny donkey?
No, I'm not here to kink shame.
For a second, I thought you were going to be like, well, no, but now I am.
No, I mean, I'm all into, I don't know, just the song itself.
Sorry, I just thought of something. Donkey is the original Step On Me simp. You cannot change my mind.
No, and listen, I'm all for that. I love that for him, as you should, King. But my issue with it is, it very quickly goes from I'm gonna eat you to I'ma fuck you, and it's like, okay, well that's exactly how it was in the movie. The dragon wanted to eat Donkey, and then Donkey was just like, oh, you have very pretty eyes, and then the dragon's like, oh, I love you now. Yeah, but there wasn't a really uncomfortable song that went with it.
I mean, yeah, I did that. But moving on from Donkey Pot Pie, we have This Is How a Dream Comes True, which starts off when Shrek comes across Fiona, and then Fiona has this idea of like how she should be rescued, and everything's not going to plan. And then the song quickly devolves into like chaos or whatever, because Fiona's freaking out that like, hey, you know, I'm finally being rescued. I'm glad I'm finally being rescued, but this is not how I imagined everything going.
Right.
And then the song ends after they escape the castle and escape the dragon. Fiona's just like, you know what? This may not have been how I pictured it, but hey, I'm free at last. You know, I'm finally out of there.
Right.
And then after that scene, we did the whole thing with Shrek to Fiona, or Fiona finding out that Shrek is a ogre, and them traveling to, you know, Shrek being like, hey, Farquaad wants to be with you, not me. And they're like, oh, okay, let's go there, you know?
Right.
And they kind of start to get to know each other or whatever. And there's a part where
fall in love.
they start to, you know, they stop and like camp out for the night. And there's a whole thing where Donkey is interacting with Shrek and asking him like why he is the way he is. And then, you know, he asks like, you know, if you weren't an ogre, what would you be? And this leads into probably my favorite song, my all-time favorite song from this musical, Who I'd Be.
That one is a good one. That's definitely one of my favorites, right up there with I Got You Beat.
Because Who I'd Be is Shrek singing about like who he would be, like if he could write his own story, like who he would really be. Like he could be a pirate, he could be a poet. You know, he just like also being sad that like because he's an ogre, he's like set into this like set, you know, stereotype or whatever.
Right.
Which is a really strong message too. It's like, you know, if I wasn't just, you know, this what people say I am, I could be so much more.
Or if I wasn't how I'm perceived.
And I love also in this song, later in the song, you kind of see Fiona in the background join in, but she's already in ogre mode, but you're not supposed to like fully see her yet. It's supposed to be like a teaser or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're all singing together. So Shrek sings his lyrics from the beginning of the song. Fiona sings like a revamped version from I Know It's Today. And then Donkey sings a little bit of stuff from Don't Let Me Go. Like the main thing he sings is, you need a pal, my calendar's open. Mm-hmm. But it all works well, and Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey, they harmonize so well.
Yeah, they really do.
It's a really beautiful song, and I really love it. I always, on Spiel, I always join it the first opportunity I get. But that song ends Act 1.
Yeah.
So then we go into Act 2, which begins with Morning Person, which is a song Fiona waking up and just be like, oh, today's like a bright, shiny day and everything's glorious. And it has a really great tap dancing segment.
With the mice?
Yeah, she comes across the Pied Piper and she starts blowing on us, and then a bunch of mice start coming in with like tap shoes. And there's one part where she like rips off her dress to show like tap dancing shorts, and she just does this whole routine, and the facial expressions she makes during the whole thing are just phenomenal.
She's incredible. I love her so much.
She is incredible. She knows how to like put on a show. She knows how to act, I should say. Mm-hmm. But after that, we have the song "I Think I Got You Beat."
One of my favorites because it devolves into a burping match. And then there's some farts thrown in there as well.
The whole song is basically Fiona and Shrek being like, hey, I have the more tragic backstory. No, I have the more tragic backstory. Which literally reminds me of that Family Guy thing with the Gyllenhaals. They're like, I'm more off-putting. Well, I'm more of a box office draw. Kids, you're both just awful.
You're both just awful.
But it's Fiona and Shrek kind of comparing traumas until they finally land on something like, oh, hey, we're both damaged. And then, you know, that's when they fall in love. But then we go into the Ballad of Farquaad, which is probably another one of my favorite songs. It goes into, now this is like backstory central at this point.
Spoilers.
Because Ballad of Farquaad is essentially Farquaad singing about his backstory. the reason why he is because his father left him and he never really knew his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he's like so evil is because he's trying to show up, he's trying to basically say shove it to his dad.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's why you're a prick, because you have daddy issues. Number one cause of all evil dictators.
You either go one way with you go one way or the other with daddy issues,
Mm-hmm. And then we'd I'm not even counting this one because it says air guitar crossover, which is literally a transition into the next scene.
Yeah.
Moving on with songs, we got Make a Move, which, if you know from the movie, there's a whole thing where they do it in a montage in the movie where Shrek and Fiona are kind of like bonding or whatever. But in the musical, they kind of illustrate that with Dante kind of singing a song, without kind of to the audience and not really to Shrek and Fiona, about basically them being like, hey, like I see what you guys are doing. I see what's happening here. Get together. Shrek made a move.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part is in the middle of the song. It does this like very like groovy, like bassy segment. Mm-hmm. And then Dante's actor just goes really deep with his voice and he's like, Shrek, I know you're gonna hear me right now, but you got to tell this girl how you really feel about her. You might not get another chance, so just go on now. Go on, make a move. And then Shrek is just like, Fiona, and then Dante's like, oh, here we go. And then eventually, the music just build up, and then Dante's just like, spit it out. And then Shrek is just like,
are you gonna eat that?
And Dante, man, what is wrong with you? You, Dante. It's a really funny song. I really love it. Following that is When Words Fail, which is another really good song. It's Shrek kind of singing, like he's practicing about talking to Fiona, and the lyrics is when words fail, what will I do? When words fail, she'll understand. It's something like that, yeah. But he's basically trying to help himself up and be like, hey, she's really into me. She'll really understand. Mm-hmm. But I think before this is when Dante finds out Fiona's secret that she turns into an ogre at night. And they're kind of talking through it, and Dante's just like, hey, you're beautiful the way you are. Like, you're still Fiona. Mm-hmm. But then after When Words Fail, when Shrek comes up to like the hut they're staying in, is when he overhears the wrong part of the conversation.
When she says, who could ever love a hideous
monster? Who could ever love a hideous, ugly beast?
Yeah.
Like, he hears the wrong part of the conversation and gets all, heartbroken.
And because of how he is perceived and what he's been told his whole life, he incorrectly assumes that she's talking about him.
Yeah. And then immediately goes to Farquaad. And then after that, we get Morning Person Reprise, which is kind of a version of Morning Person, but it's slower, and it's Fiona basically talking about, how she was so worried about her ogre secret before, but she feels safe enough after her conversation with Dante to talk to Shrek about it. But when she encounters Shrek, Shrek is already pissed off because of, previously.
Right.
And then we have, the rival of Farquaad, where Farquaad pops up and he's just like, oh, I'm here for you, Fiona, take my hand. Which I love when he enters, they have the fanfare, and he's on a fake horse, and they roll in, and then as soon as it stops, he's like, whoa, plastic horse.
Yeah. Farquaad is very self-aware as far as the fourth wall, and it's very funny.
Although, what I love, too, is Farquaad does the same where he, gets down on one knee and, like, asks Fiona to marry him. But since, like we said, the actor is, on his knees for the role, he has to, like, basically do the splits while on his knees.
Yeah, and you can tell that he's in pain, and it's very funny.
Like, I don't know if he's, like, truly in pain, or if he's just playing it up. But you can tell, I did definitely tell it's not that easy on him. I mean, it's hard doing the splits just normally.
Right.
For most people, at least. Or that might just be me. I don't know. But Anyway, Fiona takes off with Farquaad because she's now pissed at Shrek because Shrek is just like, basically to her, Shrek doesn't love her anymore. So Fiona's like, all right, well, fuck you then. I'm going off of Farquaad.
Right.
So then Donkey tries to convince Shrek to take her back, and then Shrek is just like, no, I heard what she said, and I heard the two of you talking. I don't need either of you. Which then leads into probably, I say a lot of these are my favorite, but I just like this whole musical. Leads into the song Build a Wall, which is basically Shrek being so, pissed off at everything, and basically he's heartbroken, and, the people he thought he could trust, that he returns to a swamp, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to build a big wall, I'm going to let nobody in. One of the lyrics of that really gets me is toward the end. He's like, gonna build a wall, gonna be what they say, gonna hide in my heart. I was like, damn, man, that's a broken man.
That is a busted up ogre for sure.
So then, after that, we see the fairy tale creatures again, now that they've been kicked out of Shrek's swamp. And they're kind of all bummed out and everything, and feeling bad about themselves. And one of them, I think Gingy actually tries to convince him to stand up to Farquaad because of what Farquaad did to Gingy, not the gumdrop buttons. But Gingy's just like, basically gets everybody else to be like, hey, why should we take this? We should just go to Farquaad directly and, stand up to him. Which leads into the song Freak Flag. And it's basically all the fairy tale creatures singing about the fact that they're proud of being the weirdos that they are.
My favorite song in the whole musical, hands down.
It's your favorite by far? Mm-hmm. What do you like about it?
The message.
Just let your freak flag fly?
Yeah, and I really like Pinocchio as a character. I feel like in this specifically, he kind of comes into his own, and he kind of becomes like the leader of the misfits. And yeah. I love that journey for him.
Oh yeah, because it's the whole song is basically be like, hey, you're different, so what?
Right.
It's your differences that make you unique, I'm a weirdo.
We're the weirdos, mister.
We're the weirdos, mister. I find myself to also be strange and unusual. It's a completely different musical too, which we could.
It's a completely different, yeah.
We could have talked about this month. Anyway.
Is Beetlejuice a musical, technically?
Huh?
Is Beetlejuice a musical?
Yeah. Well, not the film one, but there is a Beetlejuice musical.
Yeah, I knew that.
On Broadway. That's where Alex Brightman comes from. Which, my God. That's something I could go on. Well, I mean, I haven't actually seen it, but I definitely want to see it.
It was at the Orpheum not too long ago.
But anyway, moving on from that, we did the wedding scene where Shrek and Donkey had their interaction, and then Donkey convinces Shrek that, like, hey, we weren't talking shit about you. We still care about you, and so does Fiona. But if you want to save her from getting married to Farquaad, we gotta go now.
Yeah.
So they get to the castle, interrupt the wedding, and there's the thing, where Shrek is just like, don't marry him, and then Fiona's like, well, it's a little too late for that, blah blah blah, and then Shrek tries to do all he can to prevent the wedding, and then we did a reprise of Big Bright Beautiful World, where it's slowed down, and Shrek is basically saying like, hey, I've changed my ways, like I don't want to be by myself. I would rather share this big, bright, beautiful world with you.
I've seen the light, yeah.
Which then goes into, now in this is called Cathedral Sunset / Transformation. And it's Fiona being like, oh, well, I'm touched by your words, but if you really care about me, this is something you need to know. Mm-hmm. And in front of Farquaad, Shrek, and everyone, she turns into an ogre. And which Shrek is just like, my God, like, I already thought you were beautiful, but like you're even more beautiful or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or like you're still Fiona. And then of course Farquaad is just like, no, get away from me.
All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, she's fat and green, and no, thank you."
There's a song in here called "Beautiful Ain't Always Pretty," which I have no idea what that actually could mean. It probably is "This Is Our Story," which is another great song too. It's like basically them saying like, "Hey, you know, we got stuff figured out, everything's fine and dandy." You know, Fiona's like, "I'm happy to share my life with you," and Shrek is like, "Oh, I'm glad too." And then it transitions to like Donkey and them being like, "Hey, you know, we're happy being who we are," and all the fairy tale creatures be like, "Hey, we're happy who we are," and basically everyone's singing about, you know, how good everything is now, and you know how they got a happy ending. Mm-hmm. That also kind of turns into finale too, which
I was just looking up the lyrics really quick to
find anything interesting, like gulp down another Sour Patch Kid.
There was a song, and I don't remember what song it is, but Fiona says she's talking about all the things that she is, and she's like,
I think that's
I'm a princess, I'm a weirdo, I'm a contradiction in a dress.
I am sweetness, I am bratty, I'm a princess, I'm a fatty, I'm a mess of contradictions in a dress.
Yeah.
I am sassy, I am sappy, when I'm with you, I am happy, this is my story. Basically, her being like, I know my flaws, but I don't care about them as long as I'm with you.
No, because I heard that song the first time, and I was like, I have never felt so seen in my life.
I feel so seen.
Like, I'm also a princess and bratty and a little bit of a fatty.
After that, we have the finale, and obviously they end everything. And then curtain closes, opens back up to the entire cast singing "I'm a Believer." If you don't remember,
her face,
yeah,
I'm a believer.
If you don't remember from the movie, "I'm a Believer" is a song by Smash Mouth.
Not a trace.
Rest in peace, Steve
down in
Harwell.
my mind, I'm in love. Ooh,
I'm a believer.
I couldn't leave her if I tried.
That's in my opinion, a great way to end it. And it's like people who know the movie, who have seen the movie, will be like, "Hey, this is
like that's an iconic ending to that movie.
That's an iconic ending to literally any movie in general."
And Donkey kills it.
Absolutely killed it. Let's see. Awards. Let's end this with awards nominations. Like, how well did this one do?
I thought it did pretty well, didn't it?
In 2009, let me see. Or is it? Yeah. Or 2009, it won the award for Best Costume Design at the Tony Awards. Also in 2009, it won the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Set Design and Outstanding Costume Design. And that was the original Broadway production. Now, the original London production won an award in 2012, the Lawrence Oliver Award, for Best Performance in a Supporting Role in a Musical, and the nominee was Nigel Harmon.
Oh, okay. That's pretty neat.
Home Media. Let's see. October 2009, Jeffrey Katzenberg said that a performance of the Broadway production had been recorded for potential DVD release. However, due to the national tour and West End productions running considerably longer, the idea was put on hold. On July 19th, 2013, following the closure of the national tour and West End productions, Amazon.com, so weird to hear it referred to as that, confirmed that the film performance would be available for instant viewing on September 17th, 2013. It also became available in HD from playback on...
Take a breath, babe.
Kindle Fire
Jesus.
HD, Kindle Fire HD, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Roku, or other HD-compatible devices beginning October 15th, 2013. The home video release is also available on Netflix, streaming as of January 2014. Well, it's no longer on there now.
No.
A DVD, Blu-ray, and digital download was released on that day. The performance is an edit of several live performances, as well as a performance shot without an audience. So they kind of did that the same way they did Hamilton. Because if you watch Hamilton on like Disney Plus, there are some shots that were, filmed with audience, filmed with theater audience. But then there's some shots that were filmed without an audience, and that's for a lot of like the major close-ups and everything. Like if you remember, there's a scene where Fiona finds out that Shrek is an ogre. Yeah. And it's kind of angled, almost kind of directly behind Fiona. Mm-hmm. That's one of those shots that's like without an audience, because I mean, why, you know, it would kind of take you out of the story if you were watching a theater production and just had a fucking camera guy on stage.
Right. You'd be like, fucking get out of here, Jim.
But yeah, they did the same thing with Hamilton, where they had some shots that were obviously filmed without an audience, and most other shots filmed with an audience.
Yeah.
Just for, like, you know, editing purposes. What the hell did I just put my hand in? I don't know. Something just fell off my hand. Anyway, moving on with this. The original principal cast appear, as well as various alumni across the show's Broadway run. Also, it keeps the song Donkey Pot Pie instead of the replacement Forever. It grossed $543,288 in home sales. So yeah, Damn. If you didn't like Donkey Pot Pie, apparently some productions replaced that song with a song called Forever.
So now I need to find those, because Donkey Pot Pie is a travesty.
So yeah, definitely need to find that. I don't know what else you want to go over with this.
That was it. I just wanted to talk about it because I like it.
Any final thoughts on Shrek the Musical? Fascinating. Tell me more.
I genuinely opened my mouth to
speak,
respond, and
your body was just
snuck
like,
out.
No.
My throat was like, hey, guess what?
Hey, guess what? Go fuck yourself.
No, I've been like, I don't know, I've been really into like nostalgia stuff lately. So like I'm rewatching MASH, and I did rewatch, I know we rewatched Shrek the other day, and we watched the SpongeBob movie.
We watched the SpongeBob movie, yeah.
Over my birthday, and I don't know. I really wanted to talk about Shrek the Musical because I really like it.
Well, you know what we're about to do after we're in this episode?
Watch Shrek the Musical.
We're about to watch Shrek the Musical.
Yes.
Because we started watching it again the other night, and we never finished it.
Because I was EB. I was very EB and EB.
Also, for those of you who are wanting to watch the musical, it's not on Netflix right now, but looking at it right now on my YouTube history, the channel name is InPod, all capital, Music Production. And... Or
if you really don't want to remember that, I'm sure you could just type in your search bar Shrek the Musical.
Or type in Shrek the Musical, and the one I'm looking at, it looks like it's an off-brand. Like, it doesn't look like the actual characters in the thing, which kind of threw me off because I thought it was some, like, parody or whatever. But it is, like, the actual Broadway thing.
Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona next to a sign that says Shrek the Musical in front of a full moon. And it's 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 14 seconds long.
But fair warning, there is some volume issues on it, so you may need to turn stuff up. But yeah, if you want to watch Shrek the Musical, and I highly recommend you do, there you go.
Do it and drink your water, you thirsty little rats.
Yeah, but with that, we're going to close the episode. Like she said, drink your water or any other liquid. As long as you stay hydrated, that's all that really matters. Do positive things out there, because if you don't, I will call each of your mothers and tell on you.
If you don't behave like genuine, loving, wonderful human beings of society, I'm coming for your kneecaps.
Which one of you motherfuckers just snitched on me to my mom? What? I'm coming for your left shoe, and I'm shitting in them, pal. Where are you? I'm gonna spit in your goddamn mouth, fucko.
I quote that probably once a week.
Anyway, I've been Cameron.
I've been Kate.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Nerds out.